to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. This is Monday, February 5th. If you have any questions or concerns, come up to the microphone here and give us your name and address. Tell us what's on your mind. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Cedar,
Here.
Councilmember Gottler,
Here.
Councilmember Kupa,
Here.
Councilmember Laporte,
Here.
Councilmember Paul,
Here.
Councilmember Vols,
Here.
Councilmember Watt,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. Number 4, the consent agenda, City Council minutes of January 22nd, 2023, regular and closed meetings, recommendation approved.
Make that motion. Support.
Motion's made and supported. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 5 is ordinance resolutions. A, adoption of 2403 International Property Maintenance Code IPMC update.
Your Honor, before council tonight is the second reading of a proposed ordinance that would amend the city's adoption of the International Property Maintenance Code as a standard for construction property maintenance in the city. The ordinance, in order to be enforced, has to be the most recent updated version, and in January of 2024, the most recent version of the code came out. So this proposed amendment will give the most recent update to the code and keep everything status quo on our enforcement efforts.
I'll ask for a motion to adopt the ordinance.
So moved. Supported.
Questions? Call roll, please.
Paul,
Yes.
Vols,
Yes.
Watt,
Yes.
Gottler,
Yes.
Kupa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Cedar,
Yes,
ordinance adopted.
thank you. These are the lot split 2403.
There has been a request made by the property owner located at 2015 Range Road to the city of St. Clair to split the section of property from one parcel to create another. The current lot described it would be the northeast corner of what we know as EPC on Range Road. That particular parcel has been asked to be split from the property so then it can be sold to the city, so the city's water booster and station can be constructed there. All the documents have been received. A review by the County Equalization Department has been received and approved. A certificate of survey has been completed by Fishbeck. The appropriate documentation has been submitted by the owner of the company. And my recommendation is we move forward with the lot split so City of St. Clair can proceed with purchasing the property at the northeast corner of EPC.
I'll make that motion. Support.
Questions? Call the roll, please.
Vols,
Yes.
Watt,
Yes.
Gottler,
Yes.
Kupa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Cedar,
Yes,
resolution adopted.
thank you. All right, C is the 2404 MDOT performance resolution. Is that you?
Sure. This performance resolution is required by the Michigan Department of Transportation for purposes of issuing to a municipality an individual permit for use of state highway right-of-way and/or an annual application to permit miscellaneous operations within the state highway right-of-way. It's an annual permit, specifically a performance resolution for municipalities. It is something that we must do every year.
So moved. Support.
Questions? Call the roll, please.
Gottler,
Yes.
Kupa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Vols,
Yes.
Watt,
Yes.
Cedar,
Yes,
resolution adopted.
thank you. Number 6 is more administration. Mr. Bishop, what do you got tonight?
Last week, I'd just like to report on the Michigan Municipal Executives Institute that I attended in Lansing, Michigan. It was about 4 days worth of training, networking, a meeting with legislators. That's something that I did outside of going to the Institute. Being in Lansing, just make a couple phone calls, drop in, see Representative Beeler, speak with him, have a conversation, talk to things that are important to the city, those types of things. I always think it's important that, you send me away for a few days to get some training instead of just coming back and saying, hey, I had a good time, it was good catching up with anybody. What did we actually do, and what conversations did we actually have? Two things really stuck out from the Institute, things that I'm diving into a little bit deeper. The first one is about cybersecurity. Just hearing a few different stories from different city managers, the need for updated cybersecurity, the need that we have as cybersecurity does protect us from outside threats, but specifically our municipal services, our water and sewer. And so getting back into town, I contacted RISA right away. I asked them, and I kind of sounded like, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. How are we? They said, it's okay. We have exactly what we need to protect ourselves versus anything like that. Our water treatment plant specifically is on an independent system. And so there is virtually no way for a cyber attack to happen within our water treatment plant, which is encouraging, and I learned something about that. But I am right now working with RISA. We're just going to do an asset, an inventory of our cybersecurity. We're going to make sure all of our protocols are in place. We're going to make sure that everything that we say is protecting our systems are actually protecting our systems. I've asked them for any cyber incident reports, and essentially that means when somebody tries to get in, it pings an incident. And so I just want to see who's tried and who's failed, right? That type of thing, just to keep the system honest. Another thing that we went over was personnel. I spent a lot of time in those particular type of breakout sessions, and the personnel piece, and they have different municipalities are working with DEI. Those aren't familiar with DEI initiatives, it's diversity, equity, inclusion, and that can take on a lot of different faces. A lot of times DEI initiatives let people go right to race, right, when they think about it. And so I'm the guy in the group that raised my hand and said, well, what happens when the population is not as diverse with race? But I said, but we are diverse in personnel with age, with income, with family status, with paths of career development. All those things are also important. And so I drilled down and say, like, what are we talking about when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion for communities that look like us? Not Detroit, it's not Lansing, not Grand Rapids. They look like us, though. They're more reflective of St. Clair. And so we had some really good discussions about how we can talk to personnel about the things that they actually need and what are the things that they are experiencing, just whatever mode of life they're in. One thing that came up was this idea. It's not an evaluation so much as just having more open conversations more regularly with personnel, just about them. Not so much about an evaluation about performance, but it's just, the best way I can equate it to is just taking everybody's temperature. How is everybody? How are we doing? What's going on? So right now, this was Friday, and again today, back to the computer and just formulating some ideas of a plan. I'll be bringing it back to the other department heads. We'll take a look at it, and we'll start having hopefully more and more conversations just about that specifically. Other than that, I thought it was a great conference. I did learn a lot. There were quite a few people there that could relate to what we were going through, specifically when it comes to large-scale infrastructure projects. And one thing that I mentioned, what do you do when you have a single bidder? And I'm really trying to drill down to, when a large infrastructure project comes back almost twice as much as the engineer's estimate. And it's just stuck with me. I really can't. I'm not really getting over it right now. I know I need to be because we're moving on, but that point is sticking with me because our engineers in Fishback are actually really good estimators. They've never been that far off. And so I'm drilling down to what happens when we have a contractor or a single contractor, single bidder, and it's almost double as much. Is there any type of regulation or legislation that can be opposed so there's a ceiling, there's a max that you can have if you're the single bidder? That did not go over too well with some because we're not trying to regulate private practice, but on the other hand too, we also don't want to work with monopolies, right? So it's good topics. I think it's something to discuss. I think it's one of those things that a lot of smaller municipalities who are stuck with the bag of this magnitude like we are, I think it's worth discussing and talking about so maybe somebody in the future doesn't have to deal with the same thing we are. But overall, great few days, came back with a lot of information, and happy to share and get back to work with it. That's all I have.
Any questions from Mr. Bishop? Mr. Downey, you have anything tonight?
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Questions from Mr. Downey? Any city departments?
Yes, Your Honor. The presidential primary election, February 27th. Just another reminder, absent voter ballots are available, and early voting will be 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Saturday, February 17th through Sunday, February 25th. Thank you.
Thank you. D, authorities, boards, commissions, committee chairs. All right. No unfinished business. Number 8, new business. Approve special event permit, St. Clair Art Association Art Fair, lease of Palmer Park.
Yes, council has before you a memo from Chief Raker, so in his absence, I'll review it with you. It is for the St. Clair Art Association's annual art fair, the 53rd annual art fair to be held on June 29th and June 30th. And along with the approval today would be approval of the lease of Palmer Park and the gravel parking lot of Pine Shores as well for their vendors if they need it. So they have everything turned in, they're in compliance, so recommendation of approval is requested.
So moved.
Supported.
Any questions?
I just have a question. Last year, I believe they marked the pavement in, were they marking paint? Were they spray painting numbers on our pavement last year in St. Clair? I think they were, and I would prefer that they not do that since the road is new and looks pretty nice and it's good to go. I see that they have artist booth marking in park, and I'm almost positive they were doing it in spray paint last year.
They won't be using the road this year.
Okay.
We're not going to have the road closed, but.
I mean, on the grass it grows out, but if it
Yeah,
was on
I
the
can certainly
street.
mention that. Yeah, that's a good point.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will go to number 9, claims and accounts for January 25th and February 1st.
Hearing no questions, Your Honor, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Support. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Order number 10, any public comment, any non-agenda items, 3 minutes, please. Anybody have anything, Nguyen?
Yes, Dwayne Delore, 1322 Clinton. I'm here for the American Legion. I have a question about our new bike path. We had our tour bus pull out last week, and I did go out on the road. He said he could make it. He dragged going out. The fairing in the front of the bus dragged on the center of the road, and when he back end come down, the whole rear end of the bus dragged. And if you add that 2 inches to the asphalt, if it's 2 inches, because I'm looking at some of that asphalt, and it's, even the edges are already starting to break off.
Yeah,
So I just want to make sure that that's going to be taken care of.
will be.
The other question is, maybe when this is all done, the city ought to pay somebody to come in and do core samples to make sure that asphalt is the right thickness. And if it breaks up because of our beer truck coming in or our tour buses, who's responsible for repairing it?
Anything else, Nguyen?
Huh?
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, then we'll go to number 11. Mayor and council comments and announcements. Anybody have anything for the good of the group here? I have a couple things. Thank you, Mrs. Bodat. We had some people pass away that were involved in the city. Barb Malcolm of Malcolm Marine, or Mike, you dealt with her. How wonderful they've been to the city of St. Clair. Janice Convis was on our election board. Val Saff, Mr. Downey's father-in-law, passed away. Julian Sullivan, City Commission's DC Salt. And then Ernie Oskin, on plastics, philanthropist to the city of St. Clair for many years, still to this day, actually. So our thoughts go out to those people, and thank you, Ms. Buda, for that. I would have never remembered all that. I also want to give a shout out to Quentin and our DPW, Bob Beath and his crew. We had a heck of a water break last week, and it was like the FBI trying to investigate, find out where it was. And it took some time and ingenuity, but they did it. And so I'm proud of you guys for doing that. And somebody's going to get a big water bill, but that's okay.
Where was it?
The old middle school.
The
No
old middle
kidding.
school?
Inside.
Inside. Big Street, talking.
So good job, Kevin, and all you guys. Pass that on to everybody.
Hearing nothing else, Your Honor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Have a good night, everybody. Be careful out there.